Come on, Ra. Hello and welcome to Gardener's World. Now I'm back at Damson Farm with a honeysuckle to plant in a border I started in the spring. It's a fantastic plant for wildlife and of course it smells incredible. Now I have a little bit of a surprise for you because Dame Mary Berry is coming here to Damson Farm today. When she's not baking and cooking, she is a passionate gardener. So I think she's going to absolutely love this amazing space that Alison has created. What a difference a season makes. This was full of bulbs last time I was here, but now look, all this long grass has been cut and piled up. Now, you probably haven't got a lot of grass clippings at the moment because the lawns have stopped growing, but if you did, you know, no mow May and you've cut it, then this is fantastic for a mulch and that's what this is going to be used for. Now, I hardly noticed this tree when I came in the spring, but now I can see it is a magnificent lime tree, covered in thousands and thousands of the remnants of what were the flowers. About a month ago, this would have been full of flowers and therefore full of bees. And when they are in flower, the whole air is filled with the most magnificent scent just before the sun goes down. So when you're planting any wildlife area, think about your trees. Speaking of scent, I should probably get this honeysuckle in the ground. Honeysuckle is a wonderful plant for wildlife. Firstly, it tends to run and climb and form a thicket that's perfect for nesting birds, but also it's got these incredible flowers which are great for moths. There is a specific moth that's fairly common in Britain called a honeysuckle moth, and that will love the flowers, but also the caterpillars exclusively eat the leaves of a honeysuckle. Make sure the pot is well watered, and then when I dig the hole, I'll fill it with water. It's called puddling, to just make sure that you're planting into a really nicely moist soil right down at the bottom of the roots. And then it's just a case of keeping it watered through the dry conditions. When we get into the autumn and it starts raining all the time, hopefully this will be looked after, but up to that point you're going to need to regularly keep your eyes on it. And if you have a hose pipe ban, obviously it'll be a watering can job. This is a lovely honeysuckle. This is Lonicera, rhubarb and custard, so called because of its pink and yellow colouring. And when you pick a honeysuckle, smell it, because they don't all smell the same. Some of them are really strong, and this is a really delicious smelling one that will fill your garden with fragrance. It's also not quite as vigorous. This one only gets to about 3 metres. That's a good one if you have a slightly smaller space. So you can see this has got a really good root system on it. It's a healthy plant, but it's a tad on the root-bound side. These roots can just start circling and circling. So you break them up. It looks brutal. Don't be too brutal in this hot weather because the plants will be under a little bit of extra stress, but it just enables the roots to start growing outwards rather than continuing on their journey round and round, especially at the bottom. Honeysuckles can take a while to establish, but once they do, they're really healthy. So once they get going, they really get going. There we go. So that's a good amount of roots now exposed into the slightly less puddly puddle. There we go. That's it. So you want the level of soil to be the same as the level in the pot. You don't want to bury it too deeply. And also when you're backfilling that hole, don't add too much compost. I've not added any because this is a tough position for a plant to grow. And if I put lots of lovely compost in now, it's going to get very comfortable there and never expand out into the dust around it. So start it off as it needs to carry on. There we go. So now I'm just going to wrap this honeysuckle slightly in the direction I want it to start growing along the ivy. And then really soak it. There we go. That's a whole watering can now. Maybe in a couple of days' time I'll do another one and that'll get it going. But whether you have a rural space like this or an urban space, wildlife gardening is something more and more of us are getting into. And Ekin Carrison showed us her garden in North London, which is all about the creatures.
Hey Gardeners World, my name is Ekin. This is my wildlife garden in North London. And this is my feeble queen, Maggie. When I first moved here, there was literally nothing here. It was like a little bit of mud, some concrete pavers, and like one shrub. I just wanted to make something that felt green and calmer and just nice to be in. In terms of planting, I've gone for pretty perennials that flower for a very long time, plus a lot of native wildflowers. Black horehound, looks rubbish right now, gonna be great in 1 week. Sanguisulba, vertical interest. Salvia amistad, she flowers for literally months. And then fennel, feathery foliage, incredible for the hoverflies. Poppies, we love the poppy. The bumblebee loves the poppy. And then wild carrot, amazing umbellifer. This has been a revelation. There's so many heat waves happening all the time, so many droughts, and every time I come back from a holiday in the middle of a heat wave, it's just like dead lawn. So I've just kept everything long and it's just stayed green and lush. Feels like a meadow. I've got so many wildflowers in here. I've got the common malva, herb robber, so many things that are crucial to wildlife. This is the new me. I love the long grass. We have ourselves a pond that I dug badly. I got a little water feature situation going as well. This is just the most DIY 101 thing ever. Bought a water pump for £30, stuck her in, and we have a little light trickle, which I think is nice. So good for all the wildlife, like damselflies, dragonflies. I get pond snails. Hopefully one day, maybe a family of frogs. And also I have a fox called Mick that lives in my shed, and he comes here every day to drink. And I love to see it. Gardening makes me feel amazing. It feels like free therapy for me. I want to prescribe it to all my friends because it's just like endless serotonin. I've struggled with anxiety and depression in the past, which I feel like a lot of people have. And honestly, sitting on my little stoop, crouching like a little goblin, and just looking at all the plants and the wildlife makes me feel so good. Hours will pass and I just feel great when I'm here. I know that we're on a very busy council estate in the middle of North London, but I kind of feel like if I squint, then I could pretend that I've like stumbled upon a meadow in the middle of the countryside. Thanks for watching. Goodbye from me and Maggie.
I think it's clear from Ekin how much joy even a small garden can bring us. Now, these have just been watered, so I'm giving them a mulch, and I'm using the grass from Alison's bulb meadow. The idea of the mulch is to sit on the soil here, hold the moisture in, and give these climbing beans a bit of protection if we have any other long, dry periods this summer. Now, Dame Mary Berry lived not far from here when she was a child, so coming back to this area of the country always feels special. And with her lifelong love of good food and fresh seasonal ingredients, both Alison and I are looking forward to sharing a bit of gardening inspiration and, of course, enjoying some of the season's harvest together.
Wow.
It's very pretty, isn't it?
Yes.
But you're familiar with Bath. Does this feel very like coming home to you?
Well, I was brought up in Bath, and there are 7 hills. Here we are, hills all round us, which is lovely. I was brought up in Bath in the war. Dad was not a gardener to begin with, but you dug for victory. And I can remember we had potatoes and carrots, and then there were raspberries and strawberries.
Yeah.
And perennial flowers, because Mum, and I have inherited it, I love flowers in the house, and they were all perennials that came each year. And at the very bottom of the garden was masses of garlic with white flowers, and I can remember running through it and the smell of it. I mean, now when the garlic comes, everybody wants to use it to make a different pesto or to use it in cooking. But things were different.
It's such a beautiful plant though when it flowers. Wild garlic is just stunning. Can I show you more of the garden? Because it's such a nice space.
I think Rue is coming with us and wants to be with you.
He wherever I am, he follows.
Come on,
which is handy.
Wow.
I know. It's so nice. This is Alison, who has done all of this. Alison, Mary.
Yeah, I'm just cutting back this verbena because I like a wild and woolly garden, but sometimes it just goes a little bit too far when you literally can't get through.
I find that if I put it in a vase, it gives a sort of structure, and you don't need chicken wire, because when you place the other flowers in, they stay in position, and it doesn't drop too much either.
Yes.
Do you grow a lot of flowers then?
I try to grow flowers, so we've got something to pick all the year round. I mean, at the moment it's Alstroemeria, and I grow the tall ones, and they're very good value.
Well, would you mind helping me with the job in the greenhouse, if that's okay?
I'll follow you.
Okay. So this is the rather warm greenhouse. In fact, I might take off my coat. But these are the tomatoes, some of which I sowed earlier in the year, which is quite exciting. So this one is Brad's Atomic Grape. Have you heard of that one? Have you grown that one before? It's a heritage one. You can tell it's ripe when it's got a bit of orange on the fruit. There you go. So it's Brad's Atomic Grape.
That is so pretty.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is such a beautiful... It's got little stripes.
I know.
Can I taste it?
Of course.
Warm, straight off the plant. That's the proper, old-fashioned tomato flavour. And do you pinch these out?
Yes. Would you like to harvest? There's a bowl here.
Right.
And what I'm going to do is snip off some of the lower leaves just to get the sun on to help ripen the fruit that's lower down on the plants.
As they ripen, you take off the bottom leaves, do you?
So what I'm doing, so like this,
All right.
you know, you can see there's a truss of tomatoes here. Some of them are ripening, and towards the end, they're still very green. And obviously, partly that's going to be feeding and watering, but also they just need sun, especially for red colours to develop.
And they're using up some of the water.
Yes,
I learned
exactly.
from the programme that we should only water well once a week, not a drip every day.
Yes. So are there any particular varieties you grow at home?
I've tried Moneymaker Shirley, all sorts of them. I change what I'm doing. I like the flavour of Sun Gold.
Yes.
But there are some people, like my husband, who says tomatoes are red. But I like Sun Gold.
Well, you joke, but that's why we have lost so many varieties, because people have a very narrow idea of what, carrots should be orange. Well, actually, they would have been purple, and tomatoes should be red. And so when you buy things in a supermarket, you're only getting one small selection. And when you grow things yourself, you can grow the whole range of different things and be a bit more experimental.
That's the fun of it all, isn't it?
I think so. What about for cooking? Do you grow particular varieties? Plum tomatoes or...?
Francis, I don't. When a tomato gets overripe, I will dry them off in the oven, or I would use them for cooking. I don't grow any particular one for cooking. And in the summer, it is all salads. In the summer we've had this year, salad every day for lunch.
Nice, that sounds lovely.
So when you pick the tomatoes, should you cut them off so they've got the green top off, or just pull them off? What's correct?
Pull them up, I normally do.
That should leave the green part attached.
Yes, hopefully.
Now that smells ripe and good.
Good. Now, whilst we're working on the crops in here, there is one man who has a tip for absolutely every element of gardening. We went to visit Toby down in his garden in Devon.
What a crazy growing season it's been. Summer flowers bloomed in spring, and on most days it's been warmer in the garden than it has been in the greenhouse. And the trouble for my plants is the length of the growing season. The plants are just simply running out of steam. But it's not too late to bring any garden back from the brink and give plants a high summer reboot. While my garden's mostly about flowers and lush foliage, I wouldn't be without a few edibles. On top of my crops for pots are potatoes. They really are the easiest of crops to grow. You get a few seed potatoes in spring or summer, stick them in a big old container, and as long as those spuds are buried and you keep them well watered, well, they grow away and produce their crop. And I know when they're ready because they start to die back and then you get flowers on the top of the plants. At that moment, you know you got spuds underneath that compost. Here goes that magic moment. Oh, hello. There we go, some white gold underneath the tops of the plants. Where's my colander? I'll take what I need, and then the plants that are left, as long as they get a good flood, a re-watering after they've been mucked around with, they'll be about for a couple more meals. But here's a trick you might not know. That's what I'm looking for. A top that's nice and healthy, but with a load of tiddlers on it. See, this plant has got life in it yet. And if I stick this in some fresh compost, it will regrow and give me another crop in 6 to 8 weeks' time. It's so simple. All you do is dig a hole in another pot of compost or in the ground and then stick the spud in. A thing to know is that if you've got a spud with lots of tops on it like this one, just snap it off. Got too much leaf for the amount of root that is left. It'll soon regrow what it needs. Right, and the last one. See, that's a good one. Lots of tiddlers on there. This trick works on all potatoes you harvest in the summer, the ones known as early or second early varieties. Main crop spuds that are harvested late summer, autumn don't have time to regrow a second crop. Is this a familiar sight in your garden? I call it topple time, when plants like this teasel are at their maximum height and you know that one strong gust of wind or heavy shower would have them over. But the name of the game is to support them before that happens. And to do that, I use these. They're called fencing pins. You buy them from builders merchants in packs of 10, £2, £2.50 each, and they are brilliant plant supports. Just pop them in the soil and then use them like a crutch, just to prop up floppy plants. And they're strong enough even if you're drawing the stems back towards them. This is my cardoon, a prime candidate for falling over. You see, the flower heads are so heavy, and if the soil's dry, the leaves and the stems and these great big thistles means that it just tumbles to the ground. I put in a temporary prop, but that's in the lawn, and I want to tie it back to a stake in the border that isn't in the way when I'm mowing the lawn. I'll leave that one in for the minute and then stick another one on an angle facing back away from the stem I'm supporting. And then I'm going to tie it up with string. Now you might just think, oh, just lash around a bit of string and all will be well, but there's a way to make this easy, particularly if you're working on your own. What you do is you get your string, fold it over, and then tie a knot in that to create a loop. That is going to save you so much hassle when drawing this plant back, because what I do is take that loop around the stem of my cardoon, the other end goes around the fencing pin, and then the end of the string goes through the loop. I just draw it back through, taking the weight of the cardoon as the string hauls it back upright. Quick hitch in there like that. And the plant's tied off. Gosh, sweet peas, highlight of summer. That fragrance is just so unique. You see, you can't make it synthetically because the petals are too delicate to steam out the fragrance. And so if you want the real thing, you've got to grow the real thing. The problem with sweet peas, though, is that they hate summer heat. They get diseased, they get leggy, and you end up with flowers far above your head, too high to sniff. So the name of the game to reboot these is to get them off the supports and then re-anchor them lower into the ground to regrow and reflower again. Let me show you how I've grown this. I planted 5 or 6 plants in a little pot. This is the key thing. When I filled up the big old container, I didn't fill it all the way up with compost, leaving a gap 10, 15 centimetres from the top, because that's going to allow me to reboot the stems of the sweet peas. First is to snip away the supports and any string ties they might have and loosen up all those tops. I'm getting somewhere now. See that? Sections of it are starting to fall away. I must admit, it does look quite brutal, this, but it's good for the plant because it allows me to get in and spot any seed pods that I've missed, because they'll stop production of the flowers. Get them gone, even if you're not picking the flowers for your house. You've got to get those pods off to keep the flowers coming. I'm not just taking the stems off the support randomly. I'm spiraling them around the base of the support so that I can re-spiral all the tops back up onto the supports. I'm just removing any excess leaves and some tendrils. I mean, you won't get them all, but the more you remove, the flatter those stems sit to the surface of the compost. That means that when I top up with more, they'll be buried below the compost surface. And the stems that are buried will produce new roots, new shoots and new flowers. But I have one more treat in store for this sweet pea, a summer tonic. One for me. And one for the sweet pea. What I've got in my sprayer is a solution of 1 part milk to 10 parts water, and it's to deal with this stuff. Powdery mildew. It's like kryptonite to sweet peas. It really affects the leaves, the foliage and the flowers, spreads over the whole lot and can kill off your plant in no time at all. You spray it on the plant, and as that milk sours in the sun, it behaves like an antiseptic and kills off those fungal spores. So yeah, a milky tonic that the sweet peas love. And before you ask, no, it doesn't smell like a cheese factory after you've done it, surprisingly.
That is such a good tip about the sweet peas. And Toby's lucky because my sweet peas have done hardly anything this year. It's been too hot and dry for them. So getting a second flush is very, very exciting. Now, normally when you're growing vegetables, we try to stop them from flowering. Vegetables that are flowering are called bolting vegetables, and generally speaking, in traditional crop growing, we would remove them and then replace them with something else. But if you don't remove them all, if you let some of them flower, you can then collect the seed. This is a parsley. As you can see, it's got quite an impressive collection of flowers on it. So you know they're ready when they've turned this silverish, almost purpley grey. That means that they're ready. You can just snip the seed head off. There we go. I can put them in a little tub and save them to sow almost immediately. There you go. Little seeds there. Break them off the top. There's something very meditative and lovely about the circular nature of growing plants. In just one season we can get all of this. There you go. I think we've earned a break. So, Mary, if you were only to grow one plant in your garden, which would it be? Do you have a favourite plant?
Without doubt, it would be a rose, because it's a learning curve all along the way, and I've got it right with roses. We've got a big bank of Chandos Beauty. I keep deadheading them, and after the finish of the first dot of roses, prune right down, taking often about that.
Really?
And the joy when those pink shoots start to come up and you get the second flowering.
And do you grow edibles?
I do indeed. We grow what we eat and enjoy. I've got 5 pots by the back door, so when it's raining I don't have to go to the raised beds to pick herbs. I have a rosemary, basil, parsley, mint, and also it's just handy.
Right.
You know, if I want to make mint tea, isn't mint tea so easy to make? It's free and it's quicker to make than coffee. So I persuade people to, would you like mint tea? And then quietly say coffee, and they'll all have mint tea.
Peppermint tea?
That's right.
Yes. And you can't plant it in the ground because it will just take over. So in a pot by the back door seems
It's
a
a good
very
idea.
sensible plan.
I wanted to experiment with growing perennial salad crops, things like bladder campion.
It's absolutely new to me.
Oh,
And what would you suggest that we use that with?
well, I'm just adding them to salads.
It's a nice long leaf, a bit like tarragon when you see it.
Yes.
It's not strong at all. There's a hint of lemon there, but it's quite mellow. You could use quite a bit of this.
Now, you may remember that earlier in the year I sowed some cut and come again crops in this pot here. And so I'm going to replace what's now gone over with salady type plants, but these are all in the brassica family. So we've got some Mizuna, some mustard and oriental golden frills. All of these, along with things like rocket, if you sowed them in the height of summer, would bolt very quickly because they do not like the heat. Now they'll germinate as the weather is beginning to cool, and they'll hopefully stay in here for the rest of the summer and into the autumn if you keep cutting and eating them. So the best thing to do, I think, is just to mix them all up in a bowl. You could use any container for this, nice terracotta pot, something like that. You can upcycle something. Just make sure you put drainage holes in the bottom, because if that fills with water, it will not make for happy plants. There, now we have a nice even broadcast. I'm going to cover this with some compost, just to stop the seeds getting eaten and cover them from the light. There we go. Now that is everything. Just firm it right down. That's really important, so there's good contact between the seed and the compost, and give it a thorough water. That will get everything started and germination beginning. Make sure you keep it watered throughout that until you see the leaves beginning to emerge, and then just water it when it's dry. But I would expect to see germination very soon, within a week or two, and then be harvesting these crops within about 4 to 6 weeks. It really could not be easier. So I thought we could pick some edible flowers.
Yes.
Surprising, isn't it, how many flowers you actually can eat?
Yeah.
So we've got borage here. I mean, do you grow edible flowers?
I certainly do. Borage is good in drinks in the summer, beautiful. It's just the actual petals of the flower that you pull off. Before you decorate with flowers, look it up and see if they're edible.
That's a very
Pansies, of course, are absolutely lovely to decorate, roses, and they look so pretty.
This is a cosmos sulphureus, and that's edible as well. So
Do you know, I've never seen that.
I really like it.
It's vibrant and it would look good in a salad.
It would do.
I always think of cosmos in sort of pinks and whites.
That's the bipinatus, but this is the sulphureus. Any flavour?
It's piquant, not too sure what it is, but gosh, it'll look good in the salad. Well, just sprinkling those over the top would be lovely.
Let me just get you one more to try. This is a fennel flower. Go on, have a try.
Sweet. Wow, lovely, isn't
Do
it?
you like it? It's kind of refreshing, isn't it?
I'm going to try that.
There, good.
And of course, in one's garden, once you've got it, it's wild. It grows in the countryside. It's easy to grow, and I shall be using the flowers in future.
Good. It's my favourite plant. I think gardening is a fantastic thing to do with all the family. Teach kids about plants and about food. And certainly that is true of allotments. They are a great place to bring families together, as we found out when we went to visit Tindy Kaur and her dad.
My name's Tindy and I've been coming to the allotments with my dad for as long as I can remember, helping pick peas when we were younger and more recently helping pick up the veg whenever they're ready. We're in the heart of Smethwick and it's the central point for a lot of Punjabi Sikhs that live in this area and settled here maybe 50 or 60 years ago. There are around at least 80 allotments here and a lot of the Punjabis here come from a farming background because that's what they used to do for work back in Punjab in India. That was the main source of income and that was the main source of getting food on the table for their families and they've brought that here to these allotments in Smethwick.
My name is Harjinder Singh Rana and I'm working in these allotments more than 25 years. We are growing a lot of vegetables here. We are growing fenugreek here and coriander this side, courgettes there. You can see the courgette that's very big and the marrows. And we are growing so many pumpkins. This year is a bumper crop of the pumpkins because of the nice weather.
We're picking Mita karelle, which are really small gourd-like vegetables. They're quite hard to find through the vines. So you have to sort of go searching for them and make sure you pick them at a right size like this. If they're too big, then they're not sort of that tasty and we keep them for seeds instead. Dad shares them with the allotment owners and his friends because you can't buy the seeds for the Mita karelle here.
This side is good.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
It's quite bitter, but it's nice and tasty and it's a bit crunchy as well. So when you cook them, you don't want to sort of overcook them, just when they're sort of nice and tender. My mum makes sabji at the Mita karelle, which is a type of curry. She just cooks them with onions and potatoes and different spices.
This is my water gourd here. I put the bag on it to keep it warm. It is like a small greenhouse. If the bag is not on it, I don't think it is going to be that big. This tree I plant in the March. It is about 2 feet now. They're ready to harvest. We have not used the plastic bags in India. We use here because of the cold weather. The crop is very good there.
A lot of the Punjabis came mainly to the Black Country, to the Midlands, because there was work available here compared to other areas. So here you had the foundries in Smethwick, in West Bromwich, in Handsworth, a lot of factories and foundries where they found work. So this is where they chose to settle. There's a lot of sharing. It's not just one person grows one set of vegetables. They're all growing all sorts of types of vegetables and they're all sharing. If someone really wanted to make sarg at home, which is a spinach dish, they'll just ask someone if they've got any ready to harvest in their gardens to take home fresh. And it's really nice because they share different tips and tricks between themselves. And for example, if someone's not able to tend to their garden, if someone's not well, they always make sure their plants are getting watered.
This is my chapanakaddu. We grow it, it is like a squash, and it is very nice to eat. We are growing firstly in the greenhouse, then we plant here. This is planted in end of March. Now it is ready to harvest. Yeah, this is good size.
I love coming here and helping my dad and hearing him tell us at the end of the day when he comes home what he's done at the allotments or what he's grown new. Places like this are really important for my dad and his friends as they're able to grow their vegetables just as they would in Punjab. And I think it's really important to preserve the Punjabi farming knowledge, as it's not just something that they've just sort of accumulated here. It's years and years of generational knowledge and traditions that they're sort of passing down and changing to fit the climate here and the environment here as well to make it successful.
ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਛੱਲੀਆਂ ਬੀਜੀਆਂ ਆ, ਧਨੀਆ ਬੀਜਿਆ ਆ, ਮੇਥੇ ਬੀਜੇ ਆ, ਸਾਗ ਬੀਜਿਆ ਆ, ਤੋਰਨਾ, ਸਾਗਮਲ ਵੀ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਬੀਜਿਆ ਆ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ.
He said he's been able to successfully grow coriander, methi, which is a type of fenugreek, saag, which is spinach, butternut squash and swede.
ਇੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਪਾਸ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਕਿਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਚਿਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਆ ਕਿਦਾਂ 75 ਦੇ ਆ ਇੱਥੇ.
He started his allotment in 1975, so he was able to grow vegetables in his allotment not just after retirement, but he also used to do it after work as well. So he would finish his shift at the foundry or at the factories, spend 2 hours here growing tomatoes, potatoes and spring onion, and then go home and rest. And in retirement especially, it's nice to be here and get fresh air, and it's nice to spend his time, and it's good for his health as well rather than sitting at home. Nothing goes to waste here. There's always a use for something. They use bathtubs and sinks around the allotments so that it catches rainfall, so they can water the plants. You'll find old doors that are used to make compost beds. You'll see old window frames that have been put together to make greenhouses. You'll have wardrobe pieces and mattress headboards to use as seating areas. Punjabis never like to waste anything. Everyone's made their allotment sheds really unique to them. My dad's shed's known for tea gatherings, and one of the uncles named it Victoria Palace because that's where all the tea and biscuits are served. 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock every day you'll have tea and biscuits being served at your shed.
आ जाओ हेल्प करो मेरी भाई ला दो राइट आ जाओ.
Today's a big day as my dad's ready to harvest his champion pumpkin, which has been growing since March.
We have to put it in this sheet, then we can weigh it on the scale here. It is 110 pounds. I'm very happy. We are going to take it to the Sikh temple. They cut it, they make the curry. There is free kitchen. Every time anybody can go there and can eat there. This one, big pump can feed nearly 200 people. This is make a delicious curry. That one of my friends is there. He is helping to make the langar in there as well.
Yeah, in the kitchen.
He is working in the kitchen.
You are the chef?
Yeah. I feel very, independent and happy here. Fresh air and digging, no blood pressure here.
A lot of the time when they're either celebrating something in each of their lives, they like to get together and make pakore or samosas. And it's extra special because a lot of the ingredients are straight from allotments. And it's just really nice to see them enjoy their sort of hard-earned work. The homegrown, homemade dishes, and there's nothing better than that.
Rhea, come. I think allotments always bring that sense of community. Growing, harvesting, and then eating together is what it's all about. And not necessarily growing the things that you would expect, just like this. This tree is an apricot tree, and they are grown in the UK, but often under glass, whereas this one is very happy and healthily growing outside. The apricot is a stone fruit, so that's nectarines, peaches, cherries, plums, and any stone fruit needs to be pruned in high summer. Normally with things like pears and apples, you'd prune them in the winter, and that's helpful because you can see the framework. But if you did that with a stone fruit, you'd be running the risk of introducing bacterial canker and fungal infections like silverleaf. So for doing this, you're going to need a clean, sharp set of secateurs. First thing will be dead, dying disease, so this branch can come off. It's a case of taking back anything that's encroaching on the pathway here to about 5 centimetres, which will create a hopefully fruiting spur for next year. Cut above the bud, slanted cut, and there we go. This one's already fruited this year. It's all well and truly over, been harvested, and that's the best time to prune. Don't try and prune whilst there's still fruit developing, or else you'll lose half of your crop. So as soon as it's finished, it's the same with cherries and with peaches and nectarines, up until the end of August. So plums as well, anything like bullaces and damsons and sloes are pretty robust, so you can prune them any time. Where in the winter plants are dormant, in the summer you are going to really shock them, so be just very mindful and don't do it every single year. For now, I'm just going to take these back a little bit, which is a little more gentle. Getting this right will take a little while, and then obviously it's going to be at least another year to wait before I can harvest the apricots. But I have spied something I'm going to go and pick when I'm finished on this, which is ready now.
Look at these huge blackberries. Great for blackberry and apple pie. And of course they freeze so well, don't they? This brings back memories of when I was a child. It was one of the great things in the autumn to go blackberrying. Mum would come with her Primus stove and we'd take a picnic, and the Primus wouldn't light, the wind would be blowing. But the great thing was to have a cup of tea with grandparents sitting on a rug. And of course we'd eat these, run about, because of course being out, it was an entertainment that was free, and you could come home and make lovely blackberry pies.
Yeah, I mean, it is that beginning of autumn sign, isn't it? We've had such a hot summer. I mean, there's no getting away from it. It's been extreme. And whether you like the heat or not, the sign of how early these are just goes to show how different it is. Not ready for autumn yet. I might have to stand up here because I just can't let those ones up there go without being picked.
Right.
Thank you.
Looking for a really big, fat one. There we are. Just ripe. I might say they are quite sharp. But of course, in a pie, that'll be fine.
Want to try a higher up one?
The best are always at the top.
They are much sweeter up here. Oh, now these blackberries have just decided to grow here, out of reach of everything But even if you have an urban space, there are ways of maximising its potential with clever design. And Arit went to London to find out more.
Urban gardens are some of my favourite spaces, but they come with their challenges. They often have limited light, restricted access and really tight boundaries. However, every square metre counts, and with clever design, they can have real impact. So I find it fascinating to see how designers overcome the challenges and how they can still make inspiring gardens that feel generous and full of life. In the heart of London's Kensington, garden designer Michelle Brandon has reimagined a compact 10 by 17 metre town garden, turning it into a lush family sanctuary that feels a world away from the surrounding city streets. For visitors arriving at the garden for the first time, this is the view that you have from the balcony. Now, before the garden was transformed, the reveal of the garden was pretty much exposed straight away because it's a small garden, so there's no surprise there. The lawn was quite tatty, the magnolia dominated the space, and everything was pretty much on show. But now the view is completely different. This beautiful pergola is entwined with vines and fruiting climbers, and the view is concealed. Because if everything was revealed straight away, then there's no reason to go down from this balcony. I may as well just look from here. But by putting in this pergola and making sure that there's elements of the garden that I cannot see, it starts to provoke curiosity, and it makes me want to go down and go and see what's in the depths of this space. Now the garden has started to reveal itself. This pergola is clearly the backbone of this design. It feels like it's, on one hand, slightly oversized, but it actually makes the space feel bigger. However, it's also supporting all of these wonderful climbing fruits and vines. And that sort of sense of envelopment is really clever. As the visitor, I'm up close to plants as soon as I come into the garden. So whether it's from these raised beds or from the canopy being over my head, I feel safe. And that's a really important part of being within a garden, that feeling that it gives you. And it also wants to draw me further into the garden. The pergola also lets us grow plants vertically. When ground space is limited, it's a great idea to plant upwards. It's a chance to put more plants in a smaller area, creating an even more lush landscape. And now as I come into the garden, my eyes are immediately drawn upwards by these stunning banana trees. And they're meeting the magnificence of the magnolia, but it's fabulous because it's a great canopy that is offering shade, but importantly, in a city, it's creating privacy. I cannot see any of the neighbours that are overlooking. Banana trees are often regarded as tender and need bringing in over the winter. But these are a hardier variety called Musa bastiu. They can take colder temperatures, especially if well mulched for the winter. As my eyes come back into the understory, though, you can see that there is a jungly feel to this garden. There is an influence that's come from the Asian background of the owners. So if we look at the farfusium here, that nice large leaf, and put it with the tree fern, that instantly gives that feeling. However, one request that the family wanted was to be able to forage in their garden, and I think that is brilliant. In this 10 by 17 metre garden, you can pick raspberries or go to the step over fruit trees, and that's a really great way to bring apples and pears into the space. There's climbing kiwis, there's blueberries, herbs have been put throughout the garden. There's even a pomegranate tree. Kiwis and pomegranates are relatively unusual in the UK, but it's the heat of the city that's helping these plants thrive. And we can take inspiration from this foraging idea around our own gardens, taking the things that you like to eat or like to grow, putting them in containers, find the optimum place for heat and light, and then if it works, you can plant it in and you can actually have dinner within your own space. The garden designer's background in horticultural therapy is present throughout this space. For good health and well-being, you're immersed in nature. This area is east-facing and celebrating the rising sun for the family to come down and sit in the morning. Now, by being surrounded by all of these plants, it's very grounding and can reduce stress, but also as well sort of allows you to have a quiet moment and let all the creative thoughts come in. And it really frames the sky, sort of lets your eyes just wander up, which is beautiful. And it's not just on the sunny days that the family come and sit here, they come and shelter when it's raining and just look at simple things like, you know, raindrops on the leaves. It's quite amazing how much has been packed into this garden, and that is all about useful, clever design. We've got enclosed spaces, we've got open spaces, we've got height, different textures. All of the senses have been considered. Asian plants, European plants. All of this from a very small garden in Kensington.
People always ask me if it's possible to make a wildlife-friendly garden that also looks very stylish, and it is. But also it's possible to make a completely edible garden that looks very stylish. It's all a matter of taste and what you want your garden to do. Earlier in the year, Alison dug up some paving slabs and created beds where she had previously had containers, and I helped her plant them in the spring. And it's looking really healthy, and thank goodness she did create a border here rather than have more pots, because who would have foreseen the summer that we've had and the absolutely enormous lack of rain. When plants are in the ground, they're much more able to find water and nutrients that they need, whereas in containers they need an awful lot from us. But what this also shows is that even a winter interest border can be brought to life in the summer with some bedding, some annual flowers. And this one is full of Nicotiana. This is a beautiful plant, Nicotiana elata. And the reason for the elata is because it's the Nicotiana that our native moths are able to feed from, because despite the flowers being very long, they are shorter than the other forms like Sylvestris. They're nighttime scented, so moths will find them and hopefully even see them because of the bright colour. And bringing moths into the garden is also going to encourage creatures like bats, which are protected, and the more we can do for them, the better. So think about your garden ecosystem in the day and in the night time. I'm just giving this bed a bit of a water to keep it going, and I expect we were all fed up with watering our gardens this year. But here are some other jobs that you can be getting on with this weekend. Now is a great time of year to sow parsley, especially with freshly harvested seed, which often germinates well. Sow it thinly into prepared soil or pots, keep it watered, and you'll be rewarded with plenty of tasty leaves in the months ahead. Keep an eye out for self-sown seedlings popping up around the garden, as now is a great time to move them. Carefully lift them with as much root as possible and transplant them into small pots to grow on. Water them regularly, and they'll soon be ready to plant out into their new home. At this time of year, pumpkins and squash can benefit from cutting back the side shoots beyond the developing fruits. By doing this, you're encouraging the plant to put its energy into ripening what's already been produced, rather than making more growth. It's a simple job, but one that can make all the difference to your harvest. This is so beautiful. Every time I come here, there are different spaces to enjoy. And this moment, oh, it's just lovely. Just letting plants express themselves. The carrots have gone to seed. There's marjoram that's flowering. And it looks so beautiful. Plants just expressing what they naturally are. And at the same time, providing for the butterflies, the hoverflies, the bees, the wasps that are all around me. Isn't this lovely? We spent the day in the garden and we've gathered food and now we have a spread.
Looks amazing, and our flowers lift the salads and make it tempting.
It's all stuff you've grown, Alison, so thank you very much for letting us
sort of diversity. I always think if you've got lots of different things in a plate, you know, you're getting all those different nutrients as well, aren't you? It's going to be good for you.
Francis, I brought my little problem for you.
Okay.
I've grown a peach, a peregrine peach, for 5 years. The second year it was pretty good. It has been good. But this is the worst one from the tree. And although it's ripe, it's misshapen and there are little marks all the way. If I peel all that off, the peach is quite ripe and good. But it doesn't look very good, does it?
Tasty.
What do you think's wrong with it?
I think this is just aphid damage. Were they all like this?
Some of them just have a couple of marks on. It's sort of moved down the tree from left to right.
I would introduce a friendly predator, something like a ladybird larvae or a lacewing larvae that you can buy and release in the garden that will keep the aphid populations down a little.
Thank you.
How has it felt to be back in Bath?
It's lovely. I still talk about it as home.
Do you?
But Alison, your garden is a joy.
Oh,
and
thank you.
There's so much wildlife here, and there are bees everywhere.
It's been a good year for the butterflies, which has been really encouraging as well.
Well, we've seen many today, haven't we?
Loads of them.
What a joyful day.
Well, that is it for this week, but next week Monty is back at Longmeadow. So until then, it's goodbye.